Cyril, let's cut to the chase here. You mentioned the Attorney General's office. Let's talk about the city of Los Angeles, California. Let me update some of our viewers. You were asked by Sirhan's mother to defend him in court, and you had a fourth child almost ready to bring home from the hospital. You just had your fourth, and you weren't able to get there right then and there. Your thoughts on how they handled this case?
Yeah, well, I was also an official consultant to the Los Angeles County Coroner Medical Examiner's Office. Dr. Tom Noguchi, an old dear friend, was the chief medical examiner then, and Tom consulted me. I went out there, went with him to the Ambassador Hotel a few days later, reviewed everything and so on, and then you're quite right, Mrs. Sirhan contacted me and asked me if I would be her son's attorney. Well, my take on the case, to start at the end, and then we can fill in if you wish, is that there's no question that Sirhan fired a gun. But the point is that there had to have been another shooter. Why? Well, you can ask your audience, and I love to do this every time I speak about the case. I ask people to yell out just their recollections, what they believe to have been the distance between the muzzle of Sirhan's gun and Robert Kennedy's head at the time of the shooting. People say 20 feet, 10 feet, 15 feet, 6 feet, 8 feet, once in a while 3 feet. I think in over maybe 10,000 responses, collectively speaking, in all of these audiences, I think once or twice somebody has said 1 foot. Well, listen carefully to what I'm going to say. The distance from which the fatal shot was fired that killed Senator Robert F. Kennedy, confirmed, unanimously agreed upon by Dr. Noguchi, the 6 forensic pathologists on his staff, 3 board-certified forensic pathologists from the military, from the Armed Forces Institute of Pathology. I had suggested to Tom that he invite them in, that the government would not try to snatch the body from Los Angeles in his office, as they had done with John F. Kennedy in Dallas. And then myself and another forensic pathologist, civilian consultants called in by Tom, unanimously agreed upon, no question, confirmed then by ballistic studies, shooting that same ammunition into pigskin and onto white paper. The shot was fired from a distance of 1 to 1.5 inches.
Okay,
nobody has ever placed Sirhan 1.5 inches away from Senator Kennedy. That is the bottom line. Everything else is editorial comment, conjecture, wishful thinking. This is hard forensic science that is indisputable.
I agree. And, 2 quick questions, and I'll let my co-host, Jeff Hansen, who's in studio here with me, jump in. Tom Noguchi did a fabulous job. This was a very good autopsy. You would agree with that. And then speak about Thane Caesar, who was the security guard behind, who would have been a person who could have had that gun close to the head of Robert F. Kennedy.
Exactly. Eugene Thane Caesar was directly behind Kennedy, and amazingly, his gun was never confiscated by the homicide detectives. They simply grabbed Sirhan, and nobody ever asked Eugene Thane Caesar to turn in his gun. Later on, when it was tracked down, well, it had been sold, and they tracked it to somebody in Arkansas. They went to see the guy in Arkansas. Someone had stolen it from his home, and that's the long and the short about that 22 long Ivor Johnson. Just absolutely incredible.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, that shot, Dr. Wecht, nice to meet you, sir. I've seen you on several shows, like I said earlier. That shot that went to the back of his head, that was a .22?
Yes, .22 caliber, and it struck him in the mastoid area behind the right ear, and also, by the way, it had a forward trajectory. Sirhan, you will all recall, those of us who are old enough to close our eyes and visualize it, and others who have seen it portrayed many times or who have read about it, Sirhan was standing in front of the senator. Every shot that struck Senator Kennedy had a forward trajectory. The shots that went into his body and another shot that just went through clothing all had a slightly forward trajectory.
Okay. And I'd read somewhere that Mr. Kennedy's first reaction was to turn around, and he grabbed the tie of Mr. Caesar, and pulled the tie off the man's neck. It was a clip-on tie, and it went to the ground with it. At any point at that time, all the
Well,
eyewitness...
I wouldn't lean on that, because one can say, and I wouldn't dispute it, that somebody's been shot and reaching out and turning can move in any direction and grasp out at anything. So I wouldn't suggest that in some way incriminates Cesar. I think the points that I've mentioned are the scientific ones about which there can be no conjecture.
I understand. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Cyril, how is it that a case like this, with a lot of evidence, and you brought it so well to us right here and through your book, Cause of Death, not even an inkling of a case being reopened, a retrial? Why has it taken 40-some years? And it's plainly put in your book. Even Dan Maldea, who I had to come on the show but declined, at one point had 12 bullets, either holes in the wall or found in Senator Kennedy, at least 12 shots fired. Sirhan only held 8 in his gun. Why is there not even a chance for this case to be open? What's he have to be afraid of? 40-plus years in prison already. I don't think he has to worry about anybody threatening his life.
Yeah, you're right, and I thank you for adding that very salient feature into the formula. The fact that more shots were fired very, very definitely, and again, this is not something that is in dispute, really, than are contained in Sirhan's gun. And there's no question about him reloading after he got off a couple of few shots. Rayford Johnson and another couple huge people who were escorting the senator pounced on him, twisted him down, and so on. So there's no reloading of the gun. Well, the answer to your question is not one that I